Welcome, everybody, to my very first Succeeding in the Age of AI webinar. I'm excited to have you here. As we gather for today's webinar on Succeeding in the Age of AI, I want to take a moment to acknowledge and honor Memorial Day. This is a time to remember and express our deepest gratitude to the brave men and women who have given their lives to preserve the freedoms we cherish in the United States. Their sacrifices allow us to pursue knowledge, innovation, and progress. Let us carry their legacy forward as we explore the transformative potential of AI and web technologies together. Thank you for joining us, and let's make the most of this opportunity to learn and grow. Out of deep respect for our fallen heroes, let's take a moment to listen to the words of our national anthem and not take for granted all the freedom and prosperity we enjoy today and into the future. So over the past 17 months, you've undoubtedly heard at some point of AI and how it's going to take our jobs and kill us all. Now, there certainly is some legitimacy in those statements, but by the time we get to the end of this week, you're going to learn some interesting things about your mind and AI that may surprise you. And you're not going to bother with what they say. Instead, you're going to embrace the journey as we move together into a new world. It doesn't matter what age you are either. Age doesn't matter. Some of what I'm going to share with you may sound crazy, but I guarantee that if you spend some time considering some of these things, your whole life is going to change and for the better. Who am I and why would you want to listen to what I have to say? Well, first and foremost, I'm a human being with a great big heart and a wealth of technical and personal knowledge, which I've attempted to consolidate and present to you for your benefit and for your success over the next 5 days. My primary objective is that everybody succeed as we participate together in the fourth industrial revolution now underway. I currently live in San Francisco. I'm 67 years old. I love puppy dogs and freedom and tend to trust a man when I meet him. I remember all my friends and I forgive all my enemies. I got into technology back in 1973, if you can believe that. I served proudly in the United States Air Force for 4 years. I've been a shipping clerk, a receptionist, a security guard, an Uber driver, a software engineer, a crackhead. I've been shot at, kicked to the curb, married, divorced, heartbroken, lonely, happy and sad, rich and poor. But in 2019, I found out something about how the mind works, and it literally changed my life. For almost 20 years, since 2002, I was just waiting for everything to end. I had given up. At the end of 2022, I dipped my toe back into technology and discovered the world of AI. In May of 2024, that's this month, I found a marketing system that once set up would allow the average person to take their idea, turn it into something they could monetize through the use of AI and web technologies, and set themselves up to succeed and thrive far into the future. A flame had been reignited deep inside of me, and I'm on fire and committed to providing an excellent presentation for you. I expect to present this information in increasingly more effective ways, and thank you for your indulgence as I perfect my craft. Now, this isn't just for young people either. I know there's a bunch of seniors out there that are just as concerned about their future as the 20, 30, 40, and 50 somethings that right now may be under the impression that the world is coming to an end and that there are no opportunities left. I can assure you that that is not the case, and by the end of this webinar, you're likely going to agree with me. So that's a little bit about me. During this webinar, you're going to learn a little something about you. It's not that you don't already know these things, it's that you need to remember things you've forgotten. Do you have any idea what diamonds in the rough look like? Well, they don't look like the diamond earrings you see people accessorize their wardrobes with, but yet they're still diamonds. If and when I meet you in person, I will most likely think you're a pretty big deal because you are a pretty big deal to me. Isn't it funny how we all sometimes tend to think more highly of others' abilities than we do of our own abilities? Can anybody relate to that? This webinar isn't going to be like one of those glitzy Tony Robbins seminars where your throat's going to be sore at the end of it as you rise in enthusiasm and pounce on your goals like a lion. It also isn't a 5-day challenge where you're going to try to move mountains and have a once-in-a-lifetime breakthrough, although that may happen. This webinar is about thriving in the fourth industrial revolution now underway. I'm going to come on every day for about an hour and do my best to meet the objectives I've set for the webinar. And throughout the next 5 days, I'm going to be thinking of myself and you as a sparkling diamond, and I'm going to ask you to do the same. Can you do that for me? Okay, perfect. So let's go over the objectives just so we're clear. Today, I'm going to help you understand how the mind really works. Now, I didn't really get into this until I was 62. If you're younger than that, don't wait that long. If you're older than that, this is something you already know, but you've forgotten. No matter what age you are, once you really understand how the mind really works and start working it, your whole life is going to change. There's something a lot of people don't know too much about, and that's how AI works. When I dipped my toe back into this stuff at the end of 2022, I was surprised and shocked to learn that AI works exactly like the human mind. It didn't really freak me out as much as it helped me come to terms with my own intellect. See, I like to figure things out. I guess you could say I have a seeking spirit. In other words, I read a lot of books, listen to a lot of videos, and basically like to study all the time. I can't learn enough. When I show you how AI works, it's all going to make sense as to why it would be me specifically who is uniquely qualified to deliver this message to you. And I hope you'll take the time to come every day and join me live on the Zoom call, watch the replays, join my private Facebook group, and maybe even sign up for a free trial of my marketing system, which is going to blow you away, by the way. Now, the last objective of this webinar is to help you understand how to leverage your marvelous mind, AI and web technologies, to create something that is beyond anyone's imagination. The possibilities are infinite. So are you ready to go? Okay, let's go. So who are you, and just how did you become you? That's a good question to ask yourself on a Friday when you have the whole weekend to consider it. But let's ask ourselves this question on a Monday, just for the hell of it. A lot of people hate Mondays, and some people love Mondays. Sometime on Sunday, a lot of people are done with their weekends, and they're thinking about Monday. And the Monday they most likely are thinking about is peculiar, because it's similar to the Monday they thought about last week. Why do you think that is? Well, it has something to do with the goals people set for themselves. Did you know that there are 3 types of goals? I learned this from Bob Proctor in the winter of 2019, and that's when I set what he calls a C-type goal. Now, that C-type goal hasn't been reached yet, but this is the beginning of it. My C-type goal involves presenting this information to thousands of people all over the world, right here from my apartment in San Francisco, Chinatown. Those of you watching this webinar are some of the first to see it, so this will become kind of a collector's item. In other words, this is a memory of the future. Isn't that wild? Now, everything begins with an idea, and Bob's going to talk about how to come up with an idea in a video I have on one of my websites called developyoursuperpowers.com. I recommend people listen to it every day for 14 days. This is part of what I mean when I say do things in a certain way. It requires a small leap of faith. And faith, that's my diamond. Before we give a listen to Bob, we're going to take a short intermission break, and I'm going to share a couple of short songs I created with AI. The first one is called Faith, That's My Diamond, and it most certainly is.
God, that's my guide, I'm standing mighty. Grace with his love, I feel so vibrant. Amen. Trials may come, but I stay smiling, 'cause I got faith, yeah, that's my diamond. Hallelujah. I found my purpose, got to center. I'm walking right, no more bender. With this power, the earth's awakening. Hearts are warm where they once were aching. Glory, glory. Change will come, it's the Lord's decree. 'Cause his strength lives inside of me. Forever, when you understand his power indeed, mountains move and captives free. Oh, tell it. Sing it loud, let your voice be free, 'cause the power fades the key. Sing it now. And the chains break so the world can see. When you know his power, change will be. Every knee shall bow, we will testify. Miracles abound when we live his life. Amen.
Now, the second song I want to share with you guys during this short intermission is called Chinatown Seniors. And to tell you the truth, I have no idea what the words mean. But I'll tell you what, I currently live in San Francisco Chinatown, and I can feel the hearts here, even if I don't know how to say anything but Joseon, which means good morning, by the way. Turns out, I'm a Chinatown senior too. When I first moved to this neighborhood back in 2010, I met a whole bunch of young people who, unbeknownst to them, helped me grow up again, and I can't thank them enough. Now I'm dedicating this webinar to them, their parents, and their grandparents. Without them, there would be no Chinatown youth. They're the jewels of San Francisco. So let's have a listen to Chinatown Seniors.
華寶之家的莊俏，長這笑容照現家，代代相傳滴飛，故事反覆經現達。
一聲曹丕的智慧，一份傳用慈運家，代代傳的長記憶，戰役情緣深。
人登舊下話當年，湖街燒烤夜美人。 自夜與茶香有窗，記憶千尺情緣深。舊日傳說着新興 ，Where your head was set ahead， 舊日 meet to feel when they dropped。 And you tended your mat. Sing out a queer mid, ting yin song.
Sing of spirit,
Are you queer, but you think the song?
Did you know that there are 3 types of goals? I learned this from Bob Proctor in the winter of 2019, and that's when I set what he calls a C-type goal. That C-type goal hasn't been reached yet, but this is the beginning of it. My C-type goal involves presenting this information to thousands of people all over the world, right here from my apartment in San Francisco, Chinatown. Those of you watching this webinar are some of the first to see it, so this will become kind of a collector's item. In other words, this is a memory of the future. Isn't that wild? Everything begins with an idea, and Bob's going to talk about how to come up with an idea in a video I have on one of my websites called developyoursuperpowers.com. Now let's get into what Bob has to say about coming up with a worthy ideal.
The lesson that we're going to do right now could have a greater impact on your life than anything else. It certainly did on mine. You receive a little goal card. This is where you sit down and write out what you want on a card. And then you carry it loose in your purse or your pocket. Now on one side we've got here, change is inevitable, but personal growth is a choice, and it is. Do you know that you could wander up and down the streets of any city, anywhere in the world, and ask one person after another, what is their goal? And they'll look at you, and odds are pretty good they'll say, what do you mean? And if by chance you find someone that has a clearly defined goal, ask if they've got it in writing. And again, odds are pretty good they won't. If you decide what you want, and you write it on the card, and you carry it with you, I guarantee you it must happen. It absolutely must happen in your life. Now, why do we have goals? See, the average individual would say we have a goal to get more. You know, get a better house, get a bigger house, get a boat, get more money. Now, that may be a result of the goal. You may, accumulate more in your life and nicer and better things. But the real purpose of a goal is to grow. It causes you to draw something out of yourself that you didn't even know was there. Now, when we set a goal, we're going after something we want. And if you know how to reach it, it's the wrong goal. Now, that probably sounds pretty silly. When you set a goal, you're going after something you want. And if you know how to reach it, it's probably the wrong goal. Change is inevitable.
Today.
The lesson that we're going to do right now could have a greater impact on your life than anything else. It certainly did on mine. You receive a little goal card. This is where you sit down and write out what you want on a card. And then you carry it loose in your purse or your pocket. Now on one side we've got here, change is inevitable, but personal growth is a choice, and it is. Do you know that you could wander up and down the streets of any city, anywhere in the world, and ask one person after another, what is their goal? And they'll look at you, and odds are pretty good they'll say, what do you mean? And if by chance you find someone that has a clearly defined goal, ask if they've got it in writing. And again, odds are pretty good they won't. If you decide what you want, and you write it on the card, and you carry it with you, I guarantee you it must happen. It absolutely must happen in your life. Now, why do we have goals? See, the average individual would say we have a goal to get more. Get a better house, get a bigger house, get a boat, get more money. Now, that may be a result of the goal. You may, accumulate more in your life and nicer and better things. But the real purpose of a goal is to grow. It causes you to draw something out of yourself that you didn't even know was there. Now, when we set a goal, we're going after something we want. And if you know how to reach it, it's the wrong goal. Now, that probably sounds pretty silly. When you set a goal, you're going after something you want. And if you know how to reach it, it's probably the wrong goal. You're going sideways. I always mention that goals fall into three categories. I refer to it as A, B, and C. A-type goals are doing something you already know how to do. And I use an example in a program that I wrote about a young man that came to me and he asked me if I'd talk to him about his goal. And I said, sure, what's your goal? He said, I want to get a new car. And I said, well, that's okay. I said, what kind of a car do you want? He said, a new Pontiac. I said, well, Pontiac's a nice car. I've had a Pontiac. And I said, what are you driving now? And he said, a Pontiac. Really? I said, how long have you had it? And he said, 4 years. I said, how old's the Pontiac? He said, 4 years old. And I said, then what you're telling me is that you have had a new Pontiac that you bought 4 years ago. You bought it new. He said, that's right. And I said, that's not a good goal, because you've known for 4 years how to do that. There's going to be no growth attached to it. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't get a new Pontiac, but it would not constitute a goal. A goal is something that you're going to go after you've never done before. Now, when people move away from A-type goals, they generally go to B-type goals. And that's where they sit down and they gather all the information they've got, all the resources they've got, and they say, if all these things happen, then I could accomplish this. And they make a plan. They've got an absolutely beautiful plan. They've got the plan, and if all these things happen, then I can accomplish this. This is what they think they can do. You see, the A-type is what they know they can do. B is what they think they can do. Now, do you know that there's no inspiration in going after something like that? Absolutely none. And if you're going to really accomplish something, you're going to have to be inspired. You're going to have to pull on something that you haven't pulled on before. I mean, it's going to have to come from inside. See, people go after B-type goals, they get going, and they get bored, they're not inspired, and so they quit, they give up. Now, the C-type goal is wants. And what you want, I'm talking about what you really want. Most people say, I don't know what I want. I don't believe that. I think you do know what you want. I think you're rejecting it before you give it any serious thought. To decide what you want, you've got to sit down and totally relax. And then you have to let your imagination wander. When you're going after wants, you're dealing with fantasy. See, the one, you're going after what you know. The other one, you're going after what you think you can do. And the wants is fantasy. Now, we have been conditioned as kids that fantasy is just for little kids. You don't fantasize. You've got to know how things are going to happen. But you see, you and I are the only creature on the planet, so far as we know, that can fantasize. Ed Hillary fantasized that he would stand on top of the world and he climbed Mount Everest. The Wright brothers, a couple of ordinary bicycle mechanics, they fantasized they'd introduce us to a new kingdom, and they did. Now think of this for a moment. What do you fantasize? See, as a little kid, you could fantasize, and your mother and dad let you do that because it got you out under their feet. You'd sit down in front of the kitchen cupboards with pots and pans, and God knows only what you did with it. But then you went to school. Bob, pay attention. You see, your mind's wandering. Will you quit looking out the window and listen to what I'm telling you? And you see, we'd get punished, and pretty soon we stopped fantasizing. We put our imagination away, and we stopped using it. Do you know, Napoleon Hill said the imagination is the most marvelous, miraculous, inconceivably powerful force the world has ever known. Don't you find it strange that we have great, huge companies, big multinationals, with small creative departments? We have people wandering around and say, well, I'm not really creative. Writers are creative, musicians are, but I'm really not creative. Everyone is creative. Creativity comes from the root creator, which is within. Everybody's creative. It's a matter, are you expressing your creativity? Well, don't let people steal your dream. When you sit down and decide what you want, you won't know how you're going to get it. The fun is in finding out how you're going to do it. When I set a goal, if it doesn't sort of scare me, I know I'm on the wrong track. See, if you know how you do it, you're going to go sideways. You've got to build a fantasy. You take the fantasy and you move it from fantasy to a theory. You keep playing with it. And you go from fantasy to a theory. And you take and you build an image, and just follow the pyramid that we've got here for you. And you turn it into a theory. Now that is when we're giving our fantasy some serious consideration. We're starting to use our reasoning mind, and we're starting to give this some serious thought. Now, before we can turn the theory into a goal, we have to ask ourselves a couple of things. Am I able to do this? Am I able? Well, if we believe everything we've been taught by both science and theology, the only two sources of reference we have to go to, we have deep reservoirs of talent. We have infinite potential. Absolutely, I'm able. I don't know how, but I'm able. The second question we have to ask, am I willing? Am I willing to pay the price? Am I willing to do what I have to do to get to where I'm going? See, Ed Hillary had to go to Nepal in 1951, in 1952, and 1953. No one had ever been to the top of Mount Everest. Everyone in the world told him it couldn't be done. Anybody that tried died. But he kept going back. He was willing to do whatever was required, and he got to the top of that mountain. Have you any idea how those two young bicycle mechanics, the Wright brothers, were ridiculed? Told to quit wasting time? Have you any idea how many times people laughed at Edison when he said what he was going to do? He was going to make this incandescent light. Do you know he failed about 10,000 times? He was willing to do that. See, failing at something doesn't make you a failure. You're only a failure when you stop. You could ask, am I able to do this? Yeah, I'm able. Am I willing? Yeah, I'm willing. I am willing to pay the price. At that second, your theory turns into a goal. Now, as you get emotionally involved in the goal, you're going to find that your emotional involvement is going to change your behavior. Yet you're going to find as your behavior changes, the results start to change. And your theory turns into a fact. And once you reach the goal, it turned into a fact. That puts you in a position to build bigger and better fantasies. Now, let's back up a bit. How do you decide what you want? See, that's a pretty big idea. You've got to sit down as an individual and start writing all your wants down. Make it a shopping list. See, I think there's two goals people should have. They should have a personal goal, and then they should have a corporate goal. You might want to sit down with your peers in your department and say, what could we accomplish in this department? It could be the sales department. It might be, as a group, collectively, take the sales to a point that would shock the executives in the company. Yet could be in the machine shop. Let's make this place the most effective machine shop in the world. Yet could be in the accounting department. Let's make sure everything's right on tap. They're goals. And as we work towards them, we unify our energies. We work together, but we're working towards a point. See, when people are working towards something, they're alive. If they're just working, they don't have any fun. So we've got to sit down and we've got to decide, what do I really want? And start to make a list. You're capable of doing anything. And what we're really doing is raising our level of conscious awareness. And you're going to find when you decide on the thing on the list that you want more than anything, that becomes the star you're shooting at. That's what's written on the card. That becomes the goal. It might be an income, it might be a position, it might be a new home, it might be a trip. That becomes the goal. Yeah, that's what you work towards. And you're forever trying to become more effective so you can raise your consciousness and you become aware of how to do it. It's the same in a department. We have a masterminding session, a brainstorming session. How can we make this department more effective than it is? Now, you're going to find possibly someone say, well, I'm not doing that. Well, then that's okay. They're not part of the group. Don't let another person dictate how you're going to live. Don't let conditions or circumstance dictate. It has nothing to do with what's going on outside of you. It's what's going on inside. George Bernard Shaw said that people are always blaming circumstance for where they are. He said, I don't believe in circumstance. The people that get on in this world are the people who get up and look for the circumstances they want, and if they can't find them, they make them. So you absolutely refuse to let anything that's going on outside stop you. Do you know, there's a cute story about the Maharishi and yoga when he was taking his transcendental meditation to the world, or planning to. Someone asked him, well, where's all the money going to come from? He said, wherever it is right now. See, nothing's created or destroyed. If nothing's created or destroyed, everything's already here, if not in one state or another. The way to fly airplanes has always been here. Internet, it's always been here. We just weren't aware of how to do it. And as we raise our conscious awareness, we've got it. Nothing is created or destroyed. All science and all theology have taught us that for years. Now, when we really start to understand that, we live in a notion of motion. We're living in a constant evolution of change. But remember when I said personal growth is a choice. You've got to have a goal. You've got to wake up in the morning and get excited. I'm working towards my goal. That's what I'm doing right now, is I'm creating this program with you. I'm working towards a goal. I have a business partner, Sandy Gallagher. She wants to build this worldwide, the corporate division. And so that's what we're doing. That's what we're working towards. That's why we're spending time here right now, building this program. So help you. See, the only way to reach the goal is to provide greater service. And as you provide greater service, you're going to grow. You're going to move ahead. Things inside of you are going to start to happen. An individual that doesn't have a goal is lost. They don't know where they're going. Can you imagine going on a trip and you don't know where you're going? Somebody say, well, where are you going to go? I don't know, west. Where? I mean, you could be going around the world and just going around the world and around the world. Well, where are you going? I'm going west. Well, when you get there, you still can go west. Imagine driving out of your driveway. You've got no destination. Which way would you turn? You see, we're goal-seeking organisms, every one of us. Have you ever watched a little baby? The baby's goal is to walk. It falls, it bangs its head, it cries, it bleeds, but it doesn't stay down. It gets up and it gets going. And pretty soon, it's, look, Ma, I'm walking. Then they get on a bike. And the trick is to balance it, learn how to ride. Pretty soon it's, look, Ma, no hands. But you know what your goal is? Your goal, your real purpose in life is to grow. You want to sit down and ask yourself, what do you really love to do? That's what you're going to get good at. That's what your purpose is going to be all about. That's what your goal is all about. Move toward what you want. Have a personal goal, have a corporate goal. Now, your personal goal and your corporate goal in your department should be consistent with the corporate goal that the executive team set. So you want to make sure, as you go towards the big one, that all your little ones will fall into place. And I guarantee you, you'll set something on fire inside of you that there's nothing like it. Goal achievers are productive individuals. They're happy, they're productive, they're prosperous. They're the ones that make the world change. Don't listen to people that tell you why something can't be done. Don't listen to people that tell you the economy is controlling them. You control the economy. You're God's highest form of creation. Steve Bowe, who was a vice president with the Metropolitan Life Insurance Company, said one time something that I have never forgot. He said, God's gift to us is more talent and ability than we'll ever hope to use in our lifetime. Our gift to God is to develop as much of that talent and ability as we can in this lifetime. I like that. You might want to take and memorize that. It's done me a lot of good. Now I've shared it with you. Set your goal, get it on your card, bury it in your mind. Tell yourself, I'm able and I'm willing, and then go and do it. This is Bob Proctor. Thank you.
Now, Bob just explained to us how to come up with a worthy ideal, which is so very important. And he mentioned to write it on a goal card. That's what these are. You know, on one side, it just says thinking into results. And on the other side, it has a place where you can write your goal. And it's very powerful. You write your goal on the card and you carry it around in your pocket and you look at it often, you're always thinking about it. And this is going to make more sense as I explain further. So our parents and our grandparents told us this all our lives when we were young. And now the young are counting on all of us seniors to set some worthy ideals for ourselves. We've seen a lot of water pass under the bridge in our lifetimes, and the young people need a little direction at this point in time. And they need some direction by example. Listen, we seniors know something isn't right. And that's why tomorrow I'm going to be getting into some of the AI stuff and some ideas about how each one of us, young and old, can thrive in the fourth industrial revolution now underway. And that includes all of you seniors out there. For now, let's talk about how the mind really works. So let's let this circle represent our mind. Now, the mind is a very interesting thing, and it has two parts to it. It has the conscious mind, and it has the subconscious mind. Now, the conscious mind has these little antennas sticking out of it. There's 5 of them, and those are our 5 senses. We can see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. Now, as we go through life, these sensory factors are telling us what's going on outside. Now, most of us think that what we see, hear, smell, taste, and touch is reality. However, human beings are very special in that we can actually create reality. Let me explain how that works. You're using your 5 senses and you're looking at the outside world, and it's telling you what's going on. It's telling you about your circumstances. It's telling about what the kinds of things that are going on in your life right now. Seems like reality, right? So what we do is we create an idea here in our mind based on these 5 senses, based on what we're picking up from the 5 senses. And this idea, we impress it in our subconscious mind, which is called the heart of hearts. Okay, the Greeks called it the heart of hearts. And we begin to believe what we see on the outside world is the way it is. So we've got these 5 mental faculties. They're higher mental faculties is what they call them. And one of them is called reason. Let's see, where should I write that? I think I'll write them right here. Okay, so the first one is called reason. And reason gives us the ability to choose. Okay, we can choose what kind of thoughts we're thinking in our mind. Okay, we can choose from the thoughts that we're getting from the outside world through our sensory factors, see, hear, smell, taste, and touch, or we can create our own idea. We actually have the ability to create our own idea. Okay, and reason gives us the ability to reject or accept that idea. Now the second thing we have, the second mental faculty we have is called will. And will gives us the ability to focus on one image in our mind to the exclusion of all others. So you've met those people that seem to have a one-track mind. They're always thinking about one thing. Okay, well, they're using their will to do that. Okay, and another one of the mental factors is called memory. Now, we can all go back and remember things from school when we were little, and we can remember our parents and our grandparents if they're gone. We can remember things they've said to us. And this very interesting thing about the memory is you can also take a memory in the future and bring it to the present. Oh, yes, you can. You can think of something that you are dreaming about, and that memory actually exists as a future memory, and you're going to manifest it. Okay, and this is a very interesting subject, and very interesting how that works. Our 4th higher mental faculty is called perception. Now, perception is how you look at something. For instance, okay, I have a color wheel right here. It's a musical color wheel. And I could hold this up to you and I could say, I don't see a wheel here. I don't see a wheel. And you would say, yes, I do see a wheel. There's a color wheel. This thing spins around. It's a musical thing. You could say, I see a wheel, and I could argue with you and say, I don't. And I may be right, but you may think I'm wrong. But it's because of the perception, okay? It's because you're looking here, and I'm looking here. I don't see a wheel, okay? So that's the difference of perception, is it's how you look at things. And when you look at something differently, the thing you're looking at actually changes. It's really amazing. It's a really cool mental faculty. Now, another mental faculty we have is intuition. Now, intuition gives us the ability to tap into universal mind. It's really amazing. You know, if you go into a room full of people, and you can kind of feel the vibe sometimes. Like if you go into a shopping mall, I feel kind of drained when I come out. If you go into a church and everybody's singing, you can feel the energy. It feels really nice. If you go to a wedding, it feels different than if you went to a funeral. Okay, so this is intuition. Gives you the ability to tap into that universal consciousness. Now, the last and definitely not the least of your mental faculties is imagination. Now, imagination is something that is, I have a huge imagination. Okay, I could look at something, and I could look at a pile of bricks and see a house. Okay, I just have that. I have a ton of imagination. What you do is you use your imagination to come up with some of these ideas. So instead of coming up with your idea from your sensory factors, see, hear, smell, taste, and touch, you can actually use your imagination to come up with an idea. And you can put that in your conscious mind. And then you can use reason to accept or reject that, just like you accept or reject the circumstances that are going on in your life. So you could put an idea in your conscious mind. You could take that idea that you're a millionaire. Okay, you could take that idea, and nobody in the world could believe you based on your circumstances, but you. Okay, but what you're going to do is you're going to take this idea, wherever it's coming from, whether it's coming from the outside world, from your perception, or from your imagination, and you're going to plant it in your subconscious mind. So what that does when you do that is it puts your body in a certain vibration. And everything is frequency, okay? Everything is vibration. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in the coming days too. But down here, I left something off here. This is your body. Now this is just a diagram that actually brings order to your mind. Okay, so if this was your mind, you could picture it this way. You have your conscious and your subconscious mind. You also have your body. When these two things are in sync with each other, the idea that you've accepted in your conscious mind and the idea that you accept in your heart, it's going to put you on a vibration that is going to take you to the moon. It really will. But you have to get these things in sync. You have to. So if you're thinking, if your conscious mind is thinking, I know I can earn more money, I know I can be successful in life, but deep in your heart you're thinking, I just can't seem to figure out how to make more money, you're going to be out of sync, and the vibration is going to be chaotic. And so what you want to do is you want to get this so that it's in sync, so the vibration, your body is vibrating at a rate that's going to attract all those things that are on the same frequency as what you're aligned with, and this is going to give you your results. It's a fabulous, this is a fabulous diagram that brings order to your mind. Now a lot of people, the mind of course doesn't look like this, right? But if you have some kind of an image, and this is called the stick person image, when you have this kind of image, it brings order to your mind. So when you're thinking about something that's going on in the outside world that isn't matching what you're feeling deep down inside, let's say you have an occupation that's giving you plenty of income to pay all your bills and support yourself and your family, and then suddenly you get fired, okay? And the idea that you had prior to being fired was that everything's great, I've got enough money to take care of all my bills and keep my life going, and everything's happy. Okay, when suddenly the outside world says you're fired, you could spiral into a situation where you think, I'm worthless. You could be thinking, I'm worthless. I'm worthless. Somebody just fired me. Okay? You're someone that you're trying to have a date with might say no. You might be running in a race and you lose. Now these kinds of things that come into your conscious mind based on the circumstances in your outside world that you're picking up with your five senses, they could end up in your heart. Of heart, you could actually believe that, where before everything was fine, you believed you were successful, something comes along and knocks you off track, and you suddenly begin to doubt yourself. And when you get that doubt down here in your subconscious mind, it's going to change the frequency that you're on, and it's going to change your results. And have you ever noticed sometimes when something goes wrong in your life, suddenly everything goes wrong in your life and you spiral down. Okay? Now that's a function of this, what I'm talking about right here. So it's very important what you plant in your subconscious mind, and we're going to talk a lot more about that over the course of these 5 days. But for now, I just want to say this is like the keys to your kingdom. Understanding this, because it brings order to your mind. And as they say, order is nature's first law. Before we close out today, I want to talk to you a little bit about the marketing system that I alluded to. It's complicated enough to set up that people don't want to do it, but it's not overwhelmingly technical. and it's a perfect place for those wanting to help set people up to thrive in the fourth industrial revolution. Now, during the gold rush in 1850, most of the people never found any gold, but everybody bought a shovel. This marketing system is the shovel for the fourth industrial revolution that's now underway. Now, the best way to understand what this marketing system is all about is go over to the website. I put a link in the description and sign up for a free trial. Now, there's 2 free trials there. There's a free trial for $50 a month, and there's a free trial for $297 a month. Now, depending on which plan you signed up for determines the level of support you can expect from our agency. If you signed up for the $50 a month plan, then our agency will be helping you get set up via our weekly group coaching calls. If you signed up for the $97 a month or $297 a month plan, then you will be working with Go High Level directly based on their support offerings for those plans. Either way, you are welcome to purchase a support package from our agency, and we will give you the white glove treatment with access to a private weekly Zoom call. And of course, you're also welcome to come to our weekly group Zoom call. So I want to thank you so much if you came to the Zoom call today. And if you weren't able to make it, that's okay. I'm going to put these replays in the Develop Your Superpowers group. And actually, it's kind of cool if I don't have too many people on the Zoom call, because those of you that were on the Zoom call found that I had to piece some of these things together and, share the screen and unshare the screen and all that stuff. So if you're interested to see how I'm doing all that, come to the Zoom call. Otherwise, just enjoy the replay. I'll see you tomorrow, and don't forget to sign up for a free trial, because this stuff is out of this world amazing. I'm going to close with another AI song that I created called When Your Lows Dig Like Cruel Spades. Okay, enjoy it.
Lace up tight, hit the street strides. Hope reborn, spirit rise. 'Cause when your lows dig like cruel spades, you'll find the highs just like sweet taste. A rhythm for climbing out of deep holes, with a funky brass punch that really rolls. And like clamps from the outstroke, fan that dewey at the below. Yeah, all like clamps from the outstroke, fan that doing clean nose. It makes my maybe when the water grows. I'm on the double highway, the day no more. Go, master.
with laughter in their souls. They help you reach those far-off goals. A circle so tight, holding hands, take strides with a bluesy stomp and funky vibe.